First speaker is Barbara Van Hanken.
Good afternoon. I am Barbara Van Hanken, and many of you know me as an advocate for causes in both land use and environmental issues. I have been a member of the Ready for Tulsa 100 action campaign since it began 4 years ago. I want to share with you what drives my passion in protecting our community and making all of us healthier and safer in our own homes. I'd like for you to take a look. This is a picture of my grandson, Miller Van Hanken, as a young boy. I recently traveled with him and his family to Boston to visit his sister, Lucia Ann, who already attends college there, and to visit colleges for Miller next year. Being with my two grandchildren allowed me to observe their excitement and joy of their bright prospects as students, while also seeing their hesitancy about what their future will look like as discussions of our climate crisis drifted into our conversations. You see, they are fearful of the unimaginable unknown that will be their futures. I have always advocated to stop the effects of climate change, but their quiet voices were deafening to my ears. Climate changes are before our eyes today, and we ignore them at the peril of all our children and grandchildren. Early in February of this year, members of the Ready for 100 Tulsa Action Campaign met online with counselors requesting that the City of Tulsa use the PSO franchise negotiations as a once-in-a-25-year opportunity to partner with PSO in achieving the goal that all electricity used in Tulsa will come from clean, renewable sources no later than the end of 2035. We also made known our request that these negotiations enlist PSO in a joint effort to remove regulatory and physical barriers impeding a robust deployment of rooftop and community solar generation throughout the city of Tulsa, and regulatory barriers that limit the scope and ambition of PSO's energy efficiency programs. Most of all, we ask that the negotiations involve a robust stakeholder engagement process that could provide all stakeholders meaningful opportunities to educate the City of Tulsa and PSO about their electricity needs, how to meet those needs more effectively, their concerns about climate change, how to address those concerns, and how to address all of their concerns in the new franchise agreement. This process would also give PSO an opportunity to educate the public about electric utility operations and regulatory changes it often faces when trying to make improvements in the delivery of affordable and reliable electric energy. Over the ensuing months, we repeatedly asked what was happening with these negotiations and who was doing the negotiating on behalf of the city. The only answer we got to these inquiries was that this was all in the hands of the mayor and unnamed members of his negotiation team. So in the end, the terms of the draft 2021 franchise agreement were negotiated behind closed doors without any meaningful opportunity for stakeholders to influence what would be in that agreement. The first time we got any true notice of an opportunity to see the draft agreement and comment on it in a public forum was when Chief Operating Officer Jack Blair said we had missed an opportunity to address the council last week, and this meeting could perhaps be the last opportunity to do so. We certainly hope you are open to receiving our ideas about why the new franchise agreement must, at this critical hour, address the desperate need to reduce greenhouse gases in order to stop the ravages of climate change. If you are open, you will join over 467 other cities that have used franchise negotiations as a means of fighting climate change. If you are not, then everyone's children and grandchildren will wonder why you did not do all that you can do. Thank you.
Could you please call roll call?
The next speaker is Nancy Moran.
I also have an exhibit. We'll just pass that. I'll say it says, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. I have a picture of my grandchild. I'm here tonight on the eve of my husband's death, a year ago tomorrow, to talk about energy and intergenerational climate justice as they relate to the draft franchise agreement with PSO. I mention that because Councilors McKee, Dr. Wright, and Arthrell Kniezek know that my husband and I both worked very hard on your campaigns because we believe that you would have the moral courage and the foresight to take local action on the climate crisis we are facing, and because I know you're concerned about your children. Councilor Fowler, I know that you believe in market solutions, but I'm here to tell you that the fate of the planet and all who inhabit are hanging on a thread. And it may be all right to gamble on the stock market, but it's not all right to gamble with our children's future. Investing in energy efficiency and promoting the growth of clean energy industry creates jobs. Councilor Harl Harper and Dotson, as the planet warms, low-income households and communities of color are more likely to experience the harshest effects of climate change and rising energy costs to cool and warm their homes. Compared with white households, Hispanic households' energy burden is 24% higher, while black household energy burdens are 64% higher than the average. This unfair energy burden is just another form of poverty tax paid by those who are already burdened by disproportionately high food, health, and housing costs, many of those who you represent in your district. Councilor Lakin, I know you've climbed a lot of mountaintops, and you're well aware that we're losing the ice caps and the mountain snow, and I know that affects you as well. Councilor Patrick, you always impress me as a very compassionate person, and climate change, if unabated, will multiply human and animal suffering on many levels, including increased hunger and thirst, loss of habitat, deadly heat, storms and flooding, climate refugees, and conflicts over diminishing resources. And finally, my fellow nurse, Jeannie Q. It's important to recognize that climate change has been cited by international health organizations as the single greatest threat to human health and safety. The American Nurse Association calls upon nurses to speak out in a united voice and advocate for change on both individual and policy level. The draft franchise agreement will not keep a single molecule of greenhouse gases out of the air or help Tulsa's struggling low-income families reduce their energy bills by making their homes more energy efficient and thereby healthier by decreasing thermal discomfort, pest infestation, improving indoor air quality. This is very disappointing because throughout the year, we have reached out to members of City Council and repeatedly suggested that the new franchise agreement should contain provisions enlisting PSO and City of Tulsa joint efforts to help Tulsa residents, businesses, and organizations achieve maximum energy efficiency, and do so with a focus on reducing the onerous energy burden suffered by economically disadvantaged Tulsa residents. It's important to note also that the most common reason for taking out high interest payday loans is avoiding utility cutoffs. The inability to pay utility bills is also the second leading cause of homelessness. An outstanding example of what can be done in franchise-related agreement is between the City of Denver and the electricity utility Xcel Energy. That agreement created a partnership over a 9-year period which supported energy efficiency projects for 7,000 low-income households and 135 nonprofits. The draft franchise agreement does not provide any energy efficiency programs. Instead, it accumulates in a fund about $46 million over 15 years to pay for underground installation of electric distribution infrastructure. With that amount of money each year, Tulsa could help nearly 1,600 low-income families make their homes more energy efficient. This not only would be an outstanding opportunity for the City of Tulsa to promote energy justice, but it would also reduce greenhouse gases emissions that are causing climate change. It's time to live up to our city model, which is a new kind of energy, and also our Planet Tulsa goal to become a leader in sustainability, carbon neutrality, and efficient use of natural resources. Let's get back to the table on the PSO franchise agreement and ensure a path towards meeting our electricity needs using 100% renewable and local energy sources by 2035 and providing more money to ensure energy efficiency upgrades for those who need it most. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. One question, again, please hold your phone. What city was that again?
Denver.
Please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Mr. Gary Allison.
If I could have permission to be without mask, I can't. My glasses fog up. Honorable Councilors, I'm Gary Allison, co-organizer of the Ready for 100 Tulsa Action Campaign and former director of the Sustainable Energy and Resources Law program at the University of Tulsa College of Law. I am a 74-year-old retiree who is dedicated to fighting climate change so that the many wonderful law students I have taught over the years who will live to 2050 and beyond will not have their prospects for joyful, meaningful lives stunted by the ravages of climate change. Among the students I think about often is Cassia Carr, our deputy mayor. I am also here for my 49-year-old son, who this time last year was on a ventilator, nearly dying of COVID. He has since recovered. I'm happy for that, but I don't want the remaining 30 years of Cleet's life increasingly made more hazardous, limited, and sorrowful by climate change. Climate scientists have made it clear that to keep climate change from making life on Earth a hell, it is necessary for humanity to end its dependency on fossil energy no later than the end of 2035, and in the process make electric grids 100% clean and renewable by the end of 2035. That means cities heavily dependent economically on fossil energy sectors will suffer during this transition unless they promote that transition in ways that more than replace fossil energy jobs with energy efficiency and green energy jobs. Oklahoma, fortunately, can easily get this done and be a top 5 energy producing state by exploiting its vast wind and solar resources. Cities must facilitate maximizing rooftop and community solar facilities to have thriving green energy economies. Just getting solar energy from utility scale solar will not produce a lot of green energy jobs. Unfortunately, Oklahoma has erected policy, statutory, and regulatory barriers that significantly impede the ability of Oklahoma residents, businesses, and organizations to reap the benefits of rooftop and community solar generation. And these barriers are why no reputable solar leasing company will do business in Oklahoma. For over 4 years, the Ready for 100 Tulsa Action Campaign has insisted that it is vitally important for the new franchise agreement to enlist PSO into a partnership with the City of Tulsa, so together they can help Tulsans have opportunities to enjoy rooftop and solar generation that are equal to or better than those enjoyed by residents in states where rooftop and community solar installation is proliferating. In this regard, the City of Tulsa must help PSO overcome opposition to its recently proposed grid modernization investments that would ensure that its transmission and distribution systems can handle robust two-way energy flows. This is electricity flows. This is important so that excess energy generated by rooftop and community solar facilities can go back to the grid to the benefit of all electricity consumers. The proposed franchise agreement does nothing to help the City of Tulsa have a bright green economic future. It will facilitate wasting millions of dollars on burying electric distribution facilities. And this may provide some aesthetic pleasure in shady, tree-lined, economically advantaged neighborhoods, but it will do nothing, absolutely nothing, for working-class families facing existential health and financial challenges. It will certainly not provide the kind of job opportunities a robust green energy sector could provide them. Some may say that investment is necessary for reducing weather-related power outages, but underground installation costs are 10 times higher than the costs of other options for weather hardening our facilities. And the systems are still vulnerable to earthquakes, flooding, and lightning. Moreover, repairs and upgrades are expensive because they require earth-moving equipment rather than climbing a pole or deploying lift trucks. And it's absolutely essential that you do not bury anything that cannot support robust two-way energy flows. I don't want the city of Tulsa and Oklahoma to be another West Virginia, willing to go down an economic rabbit hole defending to the end fossil energy sectors that cannot and must not exist past 2050. So please make the City of Tulsa motto, a new kind of energy, a reality by modifying the proposed franchise agreement to promote energy efficiency, rooftop and community solar, a rapid transition to clean renewable electricity, energy justice, and a bright green energy future for our children and grandchildren.
Please hold your applause.